Particularly we're looking at Dune Part 2 and I'll splice in different scenes from there.
In the shadows of Arrakis lie many secrets. But the darkest of them all may remain. The end of House Atreides.
Please be advised that the content will be showing violence.
This would not be the first time the Harkonnens have done his dirty work.
And I think that this is a universal belief or something intertwined with our soul, that we do quickly identify evil and that evil is present in the world. And this is where I would like to delve into what I believe is an understanding of the supernatural, where we see in the start of the creation story in Genesis a fall of humankind involved in a discussion with supernatural beings. And for the purpose of this video, I'll describe the natural order, and supernatural is different. And yet I would like to get into some of the discussion about reality. Maybe there's an unwritten rule that you don't talk about Christianity and science fiction, especially with the increasingly secular audience enjoying science fiction and not wanting that to be spoiled with some religious ideology being thrown on top of something that is a critique of religion or politics or geopolitical religious power. There does seem to be a definite sense of defensiveness when we talk about personal belief systems, and understandably so, because so much is intertwined in our own perception of ourself. Tolkien, very well-known author, holding a very strong belief in God from a Catholic perspective, talked with Lewis about Christianity being the one true myth. And of course the reason that he was featuring that thought with Lewis in a conversation was that Lewis had studied mythology for decades and that he was fascinated by it, and Tolkien could see as his friend that Lewis wanted to believe that there could be some good held in those ancient stories of the past. When I think about theology, when I think about God and the existence of evil, I do believe that there is an answer to the question of evil in the cosmic sense, that Christ, Jesus, has brought about victory over the power of evil. And that evil, I feel like I always need to express, is both an external evil that has entered into creation through supernatural beings that have had and do have free will and have chosen to rebel against their creator. It does sound like a science fiction story in some senses, and that very being, as I mentioned earlier, spoke with Eve and influenced both Adam and Eve to step away from their creator. That is seen as a mythological story, and yet I believe holds truth. It's also a story that you can investigate and read for yourself, and I'll put it here below. I think there is something deeply profound in the redemption story of Christ that I personally believe, but also I believe it has an overarching effect upon the way that we view reality. And it is quite irrational to some, my belief, that I see Christ as the answer and the solution and the go-to for moral authority, for authority over death, over evil, the one that has conquered those areas. That I do see him as the supreme one that I can focus on. I hope that this video, although it is very unorthodox, very odd in many senses, can help us discuss this in the comments, to attack ideas, to challenge one another. And just as I look back upon Tolkien and Lewis, who are often mocked amongst the intellect of their day for having such archaic and ancient medieval views of the God of the universe stepping into humanity to redeem, but also to show victory over evil in the most humble of sense. I do acknowledge that that story is in many ways seeming like a myth that is too good to be true. And I hope that you would consider that myth, that if it be true, that you are involved, and whether or not we take a role of acting on the side of good, we are still involved in that story that is eternal and it does involve supernatural and the natural, and I believe is a much truer reality, even though it is framed in the form of myth for many. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.